Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for this special edition of Nebraska Nightly.
We'll be bringing you live election coverage in collaboration with 90.3 KRNU Radio and Nebraska News Service.
We'll be covering all the major races happening in the state,
along with some insights into what's going on nationally during the midterm election.
This is Nebraska Nightly.
This is midterm election coverage on Nebraska Nightly in coordination with Nebraska News Service, 90.3 KRNU, and the UNL Political Science Department.
Well, it's around 8 p.m., which means the polls are now closed. But if you are in line at a polling location, stay in line because you are still allowed to vote if you were already in line when the polls closed. Again, if you are in line at a polling location, stay in line even if the polls are closed because your vote will still be counted.
As ballots are beginning to be counted, it's important to know that most ballots being counted first are early voting and absentee ballots. This means that voters might see one candidate in the lead, but this does not mean that that will determine the final results of each race. We will have some initial results shortly, so stick with us.
As you can see, there's a lot to be covered tonight, and we have crews spread out across the state in Norfolk, Lincoln, and Omaha attending different election parties. We will have students in the field covering the governor's race across Omaha and Lincoln,
the 1st Congressional District race in Norfolk and Lincoln,
and the 2nd Congressional District race in Omaha.
As we are covering the races, it is important to highlight some of the issues affecting the midterm election. Nebraska Nightly reporter Tristan Summers reports on one such issue, the overturning of Roe v. Wade.
During the last few months, the recent overturn of Roe v. Wade has given both the Democratic and Republican Party base new energy for the midterms. The same can be said of the candidates of the Nebraska District 1 congressional election. The debate of abortion access was a key issue during the last debate between the Republican nominee Congressman Mike Flood and the Democratic nominee Senator Patty Panson-Brooks.
I also want to make it clear that I have always believed that life begins at conception. That is a personal belief that means a lot to me.
We as women should not have my opponent making these decisions about what will happen to our health care, our bodily autonomy, and how we will move forward.
Polling shows that roughly 56% of Nebraskan voters identify themselves as pro-choice. Scout Richards, an ACLU reproductive rights lawyer, explains that the pro-choice movement is doing what they feel is necessary to protect their reproductive rights.
People are recognizing, one, that we no longer have Roe v. Wade as a backstop at the Supreme Court, so they're getting more involved.
The results in the Nebraska District 1 special election in June yielded the closest results in the history of the district's elections since 1964.
Polling data still shows that the seat will likely stay Republican, but the margins have gotten closer in the weeks since the special election, and many Democrats are hopeful for a potential win in this House district in November. This is Tristan Summers with Nebraska Nightly.
Tristan, Roe v. Wade is one of the most pressing issues being discussed by both Congressional District 1 candidates, one being Democratic Patty Panson-Brooks. Panson-Brooks has been a member of Nebraska legislators since 2015. Her election watch party is taking place at the Lincoln Station Great Hall down in the Haymarket. Chris Terbesh, her campaign manager, spoke with us earlier in the evening and says that this is the day they've been waiting for all year.
This is midterm election coverage on Nebraska Nightly.
Here tonight, I think we're just really looking forward to being here tonight. This was actually the place where Patty kicked off her campaign whenever she decided to run. And so it's kind of coming full circle now. We're here tonight, and we just feel like we've been creating momentum, throughout this whole year, and we finally arrived at this moment and feel like we're going to have a really good night.
7 p.m. and we'll hear more from Patty later. As we're kicking the night off, we thought we'd give you, our audience, an insight into what's going on within this production.
That's right. There's a lot of moving pieces involved in something as big as election night, and it's important to highlight those a part of it.
To bring you fast and accurate results, we have a data team working on providing you with preliminary results as they come in.
But remember, votes will continue to come in throughout the night, and so results aren't final until the last vote is counted. They'll also be gathering their data from the Nebraska Secretary of State website.
On top of our data team, we would like to mention that we have a social media team as well. The social media team is reporting on what people are talking about via social media and their reactions to results as they come in.
Now we'd like to toss it over to Tanner Dykstra and Dr. Elizabeth Tice-Morse, a political scientist at UNL who has done research in areas of American politics and political psychology.
Dr. Tice-Morse has a specific interest in public opinion concerning various aspects of democracy, including electoral behavioral, tolerance, and American identity, as also working on several projects with address to a public opinion. Is it going?
The main things that are hitting everybody nationally are also important here. So the state economy, concerns about things like immigration, concerns about women's right to an abortion, the nationally, and they also matter locally. So I think we're concerned mainly about the economy and also about other major issues.
Absolutely. Now, one of your main areas of study is political psychology. Could you illuminate a little bit the psychological reasoning behind this sort of swinging pendulum effect that we seem to have in presidential elections and then subsequently in the midterms?
Sure. We see this pendulum. Americans are deeply divided, and the division is close. I mean, it's not, one side is big and the other side small. So psychologically, what we're really seeing is what's referred to as affective polarization, where people in one party absolutely hate people in the other party, threatened by the prospect of the other party winning an election. So we see higher turnout rates lately because people are so, and that it's just it's their hatred of the.
Okay, well, that is, oh yeah, sorry. That is all that we have time for right now, but I will be speaking to you later this evening. So thank you for joining me, and we will talk to you in just a couple hours.
Well, thank you, Doctor, and thank you, Tanner. Well, we've been following closely on social media this evening. Now we will be tossing it over to Jenna Reynolds and Peyton Thomas over at Nebraska Nightly's social media desk with our social media analyst. Peyton, Jenna.
Taking a look at the first few candidates in important races, of course, the governor's race, Jim Pillen riling up his base, grandkids ready to go for election night. And of course, his competitor in Democrat, Carol Blood, she has her watch party well underway at Firefighters Hall. Then moving over to the U.S. House race, Patty Pansing Brooks in District 1. This over just an hour ago while the polls were still open, sending her final signs to her base to go out and vote. And then finally, her Republican opponent, Mike Flood, getting work underway in Bellevue.
We'll continue tracking conversations using the latest social media data software throughout the night and keep giving you guys updates.
Thank you, Jenna and Peyton. That's all we have for this time, so catch back with us after this break. This has been Nebraska Nightly.